there are several definitions which we learn in our school times, and one of the definition which I didn't forget, always remember, is the definition of inertia, or the first law of Newton's first law, as we say. And inertia is nothing but every body continues to be in the state of rest or of uniform motion unless compelled by an external force to act otherwise. Now, this definition, if we see, is something which is what we all want, a kind of inertia, kind of status quo in our life, because we want things to be the way they are. We are comfortable the way they are. We don't want anything to change. But fortunately or unfortunately, maybe both, because sometimes change is required and sometimes change may look difficult, may bring problems in the beginning, but retrospectively we realize that that change was required in the long run. And whether we like it or not, it is beyond our control. As I said, things change. And as things change, how our priorities also change. That is something which we would like to discuss today.
So, something which is coming in my mind is taking from our previous conversation was that we start looking at events as pages and our goals as chapters. Then what happens is we are constantly changing our goals. That means while we are reading of this chapter, we are also trying to write another chapter somewhere. So it's not linear like life we imagine it is. While the time is kind of elapsing in a linear manner, our priorities are constantly shifting. So we are kind of keeping our head in multiple positions, and then we are kind of overseeing many of the things while we are thinking that we are actually controlling many things. We are kind of absent to a lot of things. We are not present to the greater purpose, and therefore probably priorities change. And also what is occurring to me in this conversation as we start is you had brought this very interesting point that looking at the history of the word priority, priorities as a plural never existed. And it's only recently that we've started thinking in this new age that there can be multiple things which we are prioritizing.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was always priority as only one thing which is important. And I think when we talk about change of priority or priorities also, even in a normal way we see, I think we have to distinguish between the what part of it, the how part of it, and the why part of it. Many times the why may still be same, but my what and how may change. Like for example, we would have loved to do the recording face to face, sitting in a studio maybe, in a face to face situation, right? But we are doing it online. Maybe sometimes in the past we were doing it using our phones only. So in the sense, it was not a video recording. Now we have moved to YouTube. But does that mean that we have to change our priority? Answer is no. The priority is still there, and that is coming from the why. But the how and what is changing. So many times even that keeps happening. I'm not saying that the why should also not change. Sometimes it is required and it should change. But most of the times it is the what and the how which we keep changing, and maybe it is required along with the changing times.
Why rarely changes, although why may evolve a lot of time. It grows and you may depart from the original why, and therefore it may create a perception of being changed. But it is already altering, and it is ever altering, because as we grow, our definition of that why keeps adding layers to it, and after so many layers, you don't see the original why at all, and therefore it creates a perception of change. But this necessity of evolution is also sort of important. It is inadvertent, but lot of times goes unacknowledged. If we are present that our why is altering, then it also allows us to not operate from our identity, but just being present to the cause. And if we are being present to the cause and not operating from our identity, we are never threatened. And if we are never threatened, then the priority is clear.
Yeah.
A lot of times our priorities keep changing because we feel threatened.
Correct. And when many times our focus is outward, which means we are looking at a given project or mission or priority or task, and then we try to get more clarity about that project or task or activity, and that helps, no doubt about it. We do that. But at the same time, when we look inward, then maybe there is a huge possibility that as we ourselves evolve, our thinking evolves and we get clarity within, not without, but within, then I think even that kind of impacts even the why, I would say, in that case. Because when you are getting much more clarity, like say for example, when we start a podcast, our intention could have been to start something which we want to do, or maybe we want to have, then that comes next, target moves towards having more listeners, then target moves more towards having more popularity of the podcast. But then during the time, you come to a stage where either you drop doing this because you are not achieving your goal of reaching so many listeners or getting that kind of engagement, or you find a more clarity in your own looking inward in the why, which still keeps you going on irrespective of whatever is the outcome in a materialistic world.
Yes. So I think that is very important. And what you brought is quite vital and profound at the same time, because I was just thinking, like, why should one look within? Now, that's not an esoteric question again, or that's not something which is to be looked at in a kind of philosophical way, but in a real rooted manner. Now, if you look at the sense through which we experience the world, the sense of sight, smell, touch, taste, and listening, is everything might be happening outside, but the experience of it is happening within. If we go a little deeper and we look at the other senses, the sense of time, the sense of experience, the sense of memory, the events might be happening outside, but the experience of the event is created within. My experience might be different from your experience for the same event, but regardless, the event experience is happening within. And therefore, looking within becomes necessary, because everything that we are doing, we are experiencing within. Even in a relationship, the warmth that you receive from your friend, your parent, your spouse, your kids, your relatives, they may be providing that or may not be providing that, but the experience we choose to make within.
Yeah.
And all of that is within that.
Absolutely. It's very powerful. And then that kind of gives the control in yourself. The control is back to you. Because as you said, warmth can be one end of it. The other end of it can be complete indifference in a relationship. And both these are my experiences to begin with. The reality can be whatever the reality is. But to begin with, these are my experiences. And I am evaluating something which is warmth or something which is very indifferent and lack of that kind of warmth, as you said. So those both things are starting here. So I think that becomes very important when it comes to even prioritizing of things and changing of things, because that change, again, coming back to the inward change, I think is in a way that's why when we started, I said sometimes it may appear to us that change is not comfortable or good, or why is it changing? But after you cross that patchy road of the change cycle, you come to a stage of acceptance of the new reality, and that new reality might be much better than what you were in the past.
And the idea or the illusion is a lot of times that what is happening outside is the goal, the purpose, and that is defining our priority. But a lot of times the priority is coming from within. What it makes us feel is what the priority is. So in the previous conversation, if we said that the end goal, the putting of the flag, is not the sort of memory which we are talking about, but the precursor layers. Here, after you get down from the Everest, for putting the flag, whatever is happening, the celebrations or whatever that is happening post the event, is thought to be the purpose of the priority, but the priority is actually, again, the experience imagined of that is defining us to drive in that direction. And we think that the priority is therefore outside, but the priority is also actually coming and going from within. The only difference why probably priorities as a plural has come into existence is because now, more than ever before, we are distracted with many things happening simultaneously. And it creates an illusion that we are having multiple lives. That's why we say our professional life, our personal life, within personal life with my friends, my family life, we start breaking them. It creates an illusion as if they are all separate. But the experience experienced by the individual is the same experience, like the one person is experiencing it. And we are trying to kind of segregate them as in different shells, but it's still within one shell.
Absolutely. And I think so my side of concluding this particular conversation would be to invite each one of us to allow that change to happen inwardly rather than resisting that change, because many a times our immediate reaction is to stop it, resist it, not allow it. But the thing which we are holding as because we think that it is ours or whatever reason is also, if you see in a converse way, that thing is holding you as well. It's the monkey story which we see in India.
It gives you the illusion that you are holding it, you have the control of it, but it's actually controlling it you, and the other way around. That's a very powerful way to look at it.
Yeah, there is this interesting monkey story where these bars are there and they put peanuts there, and the monkey puts its hand, and when it folds the peanuts, it is unable to take its hand out within the bar. But the monkey will never leave that peanut. And that's the way they catch the monkeys. So that's how we keep doing many times in our life. We hold on to something, and as you rightly said, it gives you the illusion that it's in your control, but you are in the control of that thing.
I think that's something which we will have to really ponder upon. That do we have to stay as monkeys or evolve from that and let go of those peanuts and be free? I think at that note, we can complete our today's conversation. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.